welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining today from the Better Business Bureau here in Wisconsin. And we're about to tour Wisconsin with an RV camper with Tiffany Schultz. Tiffany, welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's camping season.
Certainly is. I wish my wife would let us go camping. Anyway, that's a different story. We'll talk about that off air. RV today. We're going to talk about tips for renting an RV and camper. Now, it could be a good buying time right now to buy one of those. We could set that aside or buy it off season. But renting is kind of interesting because then you get your chance at trying something a little bit, different, whether you're pulling or driving these vehicles. But there's some things you need to know before you head out and do this.
If you're heading out going camping this season, you don't have a camper, you don't have an RV, and you're relying on renting one. There's opportunities out there, but you really need to know what you're renting before you go ahead and rent. So you find the best mobile RV or pull behind camper for you and what works for your family.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of companies out there and a lot of choices, and I suspect that there's a lot of things that come with this because it's like a hotel room. When you think about renting a hotel room, I mean, you're leasing the space for a little bit of time, and you're responsible for everything. When you got something that's on wheels, whoo, could be very interesting. So, getting to know the different RV classes, where do you start with that one?
Well, like I said, there's different RV classes. What type of RV are you looking for? Are you looking for a camper or are you looking for a motorized RV? And, we see these motorized RVs going down the highway, and some of them look smaller than the others. They come in class A, B, and C. So you want to know what the difference is before you go ahead and rent one, because if you're not comfortable renting a C, which could be a big motorized camper, you want something smaller, it might be hard to get out of the contract. So know exactly what you're renting, what it requires, and how large it is. It may be bigger than you need, or it may be smaller than you. Know that up front.
So you're telling me that if I want to drive the bus one, the one that's $200,000, with every luxury, I might need a different type of license.
You don't need a different type of license. Classes A, B, and C, they don't require any type of special licensing. So that's a benefit, but you need to be comfortable, Jeremy. Comfortable driving it. It's probably not going to be a good experience for you.
Oh, come on. I pulled trailers before. Just driving something that's 100 foot long, not a big deal. No worries there. How about the budget for your trip? So, kind of interesting because there are, I'm sure, like renting a car too, there are so many options and great things to help make your trip just so great.
Well, the price is not necessarily the price that's shown. So when you rent an RV or camper, you're going to see a daily rate. What's not factored in is possibly insurance. That's going to be extra. The fuel to make that vehicle move, that's going to be extra. Where are you going to park it? That's going to be an extra rate per night, too. So lots of ancillary expenses that are going to go along with that nightly rental rate. Are you going to park it on the side of the road? You're probably not going to be able to park it on the side of the road or a parking lot. You're going to have to rent space for that. And then think about how you're going to get around once you get there. Are you going to need a rental car, or are you going to be wanting to pull this big 100-foot RV out of the spot that you parked in? So lots of things to think about.
Oh man, yeah. If that's funny, because if you're like, "Ooh, I bought, I'm going to drive this RV across country, and then plus I'm going to pull my car with it," you're just adding some more cautionary stuff there, and you still got the expenses of food, the campground fees, additional activities. So you really want to set the budget and plan ahead. I wouldn't just do drop in and try to rent an RV and not have all those costs up front. And choosing the right booking company too. These are interesting because their rates are going to be different between different companies on RVs, sort of like compared to like an Airbnb.
Not only the rates different, but the policies are going to vary between companies too. So there's companies, typically RV companies, that do rent out RVs to go out, and they may have a small handful of RVs that go out every summer and you rent directly from the company. That may or may not include insurance, and it may or may not include what you need to operate that RV with. So when I'm talking about those items, I'm talking about the bedding, I'm talking about the kitchen utensils. Do you need to provide those extras on your own, or are those all included? Another way that you can rent one of these RVs or campers is through like an Airbnb site. It's not Airbnb. There's some of those other sites that personal people, personal individuals rent their campers and RVs. Again, you really need to read what they're offering, what it's going to cost you. Is it going to be extra mileage? You want to look into that. So just keep in mind that every opportunity is going to be different with every rental that's out there.
And you can rent. I've seen this on Facebook Marketplace and other places, but people rent out their own RVs as well. So, what would you say are the risk factors and considerations you want to think before pulling that trigger?
Well, if they're renting through a booking company, like a booking platform that's
Mhm.
similar to Airbnb, there's going to be a contract on there. There's going to be their own rules that they made. If you're just renting from an individual with no contract, that should really be a red flag that something could go wrong and you want to look elsewhere.
Yeah, that's so important. And how about insurance? Now, this is really interesting because I'm sure you can purchase extra insurance, but there's also insurance that comes with specifically that could come out of your own.
Well, read your contract because the RV could come equipped with insurance, or you may want to purchase additional insurance above and beyond what's offered. Maybe nothing is offered, but you also want to check with your own auto insurance. You may automatically have coverage for a rental like that, and that's going to save you money from having to purchase additional insurance.
Yeah, so important. All right, finally the plan. You got the vehicle, you got the plans, but planning your route and making sure you've got everything you know where you're heading to, because you know, hitting the road can be tough.
Planning your route is so important and is going to be the best experience of your trip if it's planned right. You want to drive during daylight hours because you think about once you get to your destination, you're not just going to be able to walk into a hotel room and flop in the bed at the end of the night. You're going to have some setup. Are you comfortable backing the RV into a site, or do you have a pull through site that you can easily drive in? You're going to have to hook up the utilities. You're going to have to hook up the water tanks. So a lot of things to think about. Can you fit under the overpasses? That's another thing to think about. And are they tall enough for your big RV to drive through it?
All right. We've kind of come off, I feel like, sounding like this is too good to be true, but truly taking an RV out can be such a fun experience. I grew up going with our family. I got the both opportunity to go tent camping and RV camping and all of those things, and it's certainly a lot of fun. But definitely do your homework, as mentioned, Tiffany, because it could turn into one of the best vacations you ever have, or some very troubling, troubling, excuse me, vacation and whatnot.
Do your homework. The more homework you do, the better experience you're going to have. So we want it to be enjoyable for you. The place that you rent it from wants it to be enjoyable for you. And think about all the memories that you're going to make when you come back from your trip.
Memories. Although you think about piling all the kids into an RV, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't travel a country with these guys. Yeah, that's okay. You'll have a good time, Tiffany. Thank you so much. Great information as usual, and we'll check back in with you real soon.
Are we there yet, Jeremy?